Okay, we're in the engine compartment of our 1969 Camaro. Just went for a ride in this guy. I'm going to call it a small block. I don't think it's a 350. It feels more like a 383, or it's definitely got some snot to it. It has a set of billet-style welded-up valve pan covers on it. It has an LT1 70 or 69 Z28 style intake manifold on it. Winter snowflake on it also. A double pump Hawley dual feed carburetor. Appears to be about an inch and 5/8, maybe a little bit more than that. Ceramic coated long tube headers on it. Aluminum water pump. Obviously it has the 14-inch GM air cleaner on it. Power steering, power brakes, new master cylinder, dual stage, new vacuum for the power brakes. This thing is really a well-done vehicle. Everything is billet on the front end of this engine. It does have a really neat electric fan. I've never seen one quite like that before, that has a shroud built with it. Looks like a pretty high-end item. All your wheels and everything, the bottom dampener pulley is billet aluminum also. Fender wells on the inside are satin black finish, just the way they should be. New weather covers for them, new flaps around the upper A arms. MSD ignition system in this particular vehicle also. High silicone plug wires. MSD box is housed right here. This particular vehicle has the battery in the trunk. It is not underneath the hood here. It cleans up this whole area for you. But it does have a battery in the trunk over the right rear wheel where it belongs for weight transfer. This vehicle is a real high-end vehicle. You're not going to find one much nicer done than this. It has the original equipment style hood pad underneath it. The radiator core support doesn't appear to have ever been disrupted in any way. Dual horns on it, and everything works in this. We just did a presentation on the right before we drove it, showing you that everything on this vehicle functions. Fantastic engine compartment. I just drove this car. Fantastic power. I gave it a little squirt, first, second, and third gear. Didn't crank it hard, just enough to crack the tires loose a little bit on it, and the car just pulls like a freight train. Very strong engine. I'm calling it a small block. I don't think it's a 350. I think it's a lot more than that. Fantastic engine compartment. Great car. Let's walk around it and see what we can show you there. Hi, you're at Hankster's in Daytona Beach, Florida, and it's the first experience I had with this car. Gary bought this off the owner and drove it himself for a weekend, and we got a hold of it and got a chance to go over it, got it cleaned up and buffed and glazed, and we got an absolute diamond on our hands here. We're going to go over the aesthetics on the outside and present everything to you that we can, showing you every little defect that we do run across. So, fantastic paint job on this car. It is just so smooth. Like I say, we just had it wet sanded and buffed, and the paint is just stunning on this car. The fit of the hood, as you can see from the video, it's just as nice a fitment as you could possibly ever hope to have a hood fit on this. Your ice cube trays, no deterioration whatsoever. They've been replaced. You can see they're absolutely brand new. The satin black paint is still nice and fresh on it, and the chrome is just undisturbed in any way. Fantastic looking set of scoop mounts there. SS designation on the front, because that's what I really believe this car is. No cracks or dings or chips or anything out of the plastic grill. Even the end pieces are nice and intact yet. The trim around the grill itself is just as sweet and nice as can be. No dents or dings whatsoever from stones being thrown up on them. This side's the same way. The egg crate grill in it is just as flawless as you could hope to find. Even the trim around your headlights is just as precise as can be. Bumper fitment on the front. That guy's on the money. That is as nice as you're going to ever fit one of these. It's just spot on. Front spoiler, Front valance with your parking lights in it. The lenses on them are just as clean and clear as could possibly be. No pulls or dings or anything on the front valance of this car at all. Nothing. The front end of this car is just as straight and nice as you would ever hope to find any vehicle. And the finish is just exemplary on it. It's a nice car. This is really a nice car. Very impressive. Let's do the driver's side. Okay, driver's side of our 69 Camaro. This car's really a pretty color. It's kind of a rose color, metallic. It has a lot of like gold metallic in it. It's absolutely a beautiful, beautiful color. 350 designation. Yeah, right. Wheel lip molding. No dinghies or marks or chips or anything on it. Wiper arms and blades, the correct style, with the argent finish on them. Trim around your front window, no dinghies or marks. Tinted windshield in the vehicle. It does have a tinted window. VIN tag is very nice and legible and clean. No rust or deterioration whatsoever on it. Dash pad has no warps or cracks or anything on it. And the painted part of the dashboard transitions to the base of the windshield is as nice as you will ever find. Nice and clean and clear the whole way across. Someone spent a lot of time detailing this car to that degree. Fantastic combination. SS Camaro designation on it. It does have the rocker panel molding the entire length of the car here, and there's no bends or deviations or dents or anything in it. The door to the front fender fitment is as sweet as you're ever going to find. Really, really, really nice. Has a dual set of mirrors, right one and the left. The left one and the right one. Both the correct style for a 1969 Camaro. The top is just flawless. There's just absolutely no deviations in it. Chips, marks, dings, imperfections of any sort. Even the drip rail is just as nice and clean as it was the day it left the factory. In fact, the drip rail molding is just flawless, no marks whatsoever. It does have, I'm sure they've had to been replaced. They're just absolute perfect fitment of the window wipes or whiskers or whatever you want to designate them. New door handles, chrome is just that deep in them. Door to the quarter panel fitment is as sweet as you're ever going to find. Finish on the door is just the same way. There's a little door ding here. What the heck? There's a little tiny ding there. It doesn't feel like it dented it, but I think there's a chip out of the paint. We'll have to brush touch that for sure. But now we're here. What the heck? We'll have to stop letting people open doors on these clothes. Our little vent style chrome, which is usually deteriorated on these cars, is just as fresh and clean as you'd ever want to find, ever. Again, the wheel lip molding on this guy is just as nice as it was on the front one. It appears to be a set of, I'm going to say 15 by 7s in the front, 15 by 8s in the back. New set of BFG radials on it. Quarter panel is just as nice as can possibly be. Sail panel doesn't have any marks or deviations in it where the roof goes off of the quarter panel. There's just absolutely none. Hatch shelf is just as new as it could possibly be. Theres no deterioration to it. It does have a rear window defroster. I missed that somehow, but it does have a rear defroster. It has a set of aftermarket speakers to go with the aftermarket radio that's in the vehicle. Trim around the back window just as it was around the front. There's absolutely nothing. Tinted window back here, so I'm going to guess we got tinted side windows in this guy too. This car is exemplary. Look at this. All tin. Everything tin on this car. There's no filler, no body filler, no repairs ever done on it. Down the side of this car, I don't see those door marks, but I can feel them in the paint, so there's going to be a couple that we're going to have to check out a little closer outside. Driver's side of this car, other than those couple little tiny, very, very minute, minuscule brush touches we may have to do, that's it. I don't think there's anything else that you could call a negative on the driver's side of this vehicle. Let's go out back, see what we can find there for you. Okay, back end of our 69 Chevelle. rose color. I really like this color. This is different. Everybody has the yellow ones and black ones and white ones and red ones and silver ones. This is the first one I've seen in this. Actually, we had two. This is the second one I've seen in this color. The other one was a 68. This is 69, but great color combination. Fitment of the rear deck is just as the hood was, just as nice as can possibly be. It has a rear spoiler, of course, because it has a front one. Panel behind the rear light is just as smooth and nice as you know, I wish you could see how nice the paint is actually on these cars. Devin does videos and showing us. I mean, we present you the car, but it's very, very difficult for you to see in a video the quality and finish that a lot of these vehicles have. And this is one of those vehicles. Fantastic car. SS designation on the back, bumperettes on the back bumper, bumper fitment. Just like the front one, spot on. Around the tail lights themselves are nice. The trim around the tail lights is nice and clean. No deterioration whatsoever on them. The rear panel, no pulls, no dinghies, no marks, no nothing. Again, this is for an SS. This would be satin black on the back end of this vehicle, and it is. This vehicle is as nice as you would ever find one. The back end of this car is just flawless. Front window is flawless. Found a couple little marks we have to chip. Little tiny chips in the paint. They're not hardly true, but we're going to brush touch them, and that'll take care of that door. And we got one more side to go. Okay, passenger side of our 69 Camaro. Just like the other side, all tin, no deviations on anything. This paint is as sweet and nice as you could ever hope to find one. Okay, this is our third wheel lip molding and absolutely zip on it. Trim around the back window on this side, same as the other side. No marks, no deviations, nothing. There's a chip of paint missing here. Is that a chip? Yes, it is. It's a chip of paint. There's something, must have hit this and it didn't dent it, but there is a chip here that we're going to have to brush touch for you. I don't know how we missed that one, but we did. There is a little tiny chip there that we have to address prior to us delivering the car. It's certainly not a detriment to the sale of this car, or it doesn't detract from its aesthetics in any way. Once we brush touch it, you'll never know it was ever there. Quarter panel finish is absolutely fantastic. Fitment to the door, exemplary. This is it's really nice to see these things not deteriorated. Usually these things are all pitted up and look like crap. Both sides of this are absolutely flawless. Drip rail on this is the same as the other side. Fuzzies, whiskers, door handle, everything on this side just as sweet as can possibly be. This has all been refurbished, all new whiskers and wipes on it. This mirror matches the other side, of course. You know, it's a great addition to have on this car. And again, the door handle chrome is a foot deep on it. Rocker panel molding straight as an arrow. Usually you see little dingies or dents or something on them. These have, neither one of these have any whatsoever. Again, another fitment. Look at this. To the hood, to the cowl area. Look, fantastic. SS Camaro. Catching my finger on something here. No idea what. Whatever it is, it's catching my finger. So I have to check that out. Again, we're back where we started up front again. Paint on this car is just exemplary. It's as nice a finish that you could ever hope to find on any car. It wouldn't matter what the vehicle was. It just happens to be at this point on a 69 Camaro SS that we have. Great color combination. Just watch me go around it. I found a couple little tiny minute things that we have to brush touch. No serious dents or dingies or deviations or fitment problems. Great set of 15-inch rally wheels on it. New radials, all four corners. This car is a stronger running car. I just drove it. I mean, I don't believe it's a 350. It's got to be a 383. It's that strong. So it's making horsepower. And I'm no dyno, but it feels to me like middle fours anyway. It's a strong running car. I can't tell you a negative on this car. It's a 69 Camaro. It's probably one of the most sought after vehicles on the market. You got to put this right up there with 70 Hemi Cudas and 70 Chevelles and 65, 67 Pontiac GTOs. There's just a raft of muscle cars through the years that people really have a yearn for, and this is one of those vehicles. 67, 8, and 9 Camaro, 69 always being the most preferential of the 3 years of run of that body style. This car is a fine representation of that. We're going to do an interior video of it. We already did a drive, so I know exactly what it runs like, and we're going to do the undercarriage presentation, so you'll see what the vehicle looks like underneath. So it is available here at Daytona Beach at Hanksters, and Devin's going to have about 85, 90 photos up for you to take a look at. We're not trying to hide anything from you. Any little deviation that I found, I pointed out. You have to, if you drive this car, you're going to be smiling from ear to ear, because I certainly was, and I just gave it a couple little squirts out there, and it definitely is built to impress. So we're going to do an interior presentation for you now, and then you can look at all this criteria on your Hanksters website here in Daytona Beach, Florida. Just everything done to the nth degree items in this car. You could not find a nicer car. Door panels are the SS style door panels in the front, and they are absolutely as new. There's no marks or rips or deviations on them. All new rubbers the whole way around this car too. Armrests are just as nice and clean as they were when they were new. Window cranks, door handles, just as nice and clean. Again, no pitting or deterioration of the chrome on them. Glove compartment fitment, just as nice as it was when it was new. Padded dash doesn't have any deviations in it or cracks or any wear whatsoever present. It has an aftermarket sun tack and a telltale tack. And it has the 3-spoke, 3-split-spoke Corvette-style steering wheel in it for an SS car, which was an option. Speedometer, it does not have a full instrumentation from the factory. It has a fuel gauge and a couple of idiot lights. It does have a trio of auxiliary gauges underneath here. You've got an amp gauge, a oil pressure gauge, and a water temperature gauge. Correct for 69 console. No cracks or marks or anything whatsoever on it. The carpeting is just as nice and fresh as can possibly be. It has an original set of equipment rubber floor mats that would be correct for a 69 Camaro. Front seat, back seat, everything is correct for the year. The deluxe interior. It has the original equipment headrests on it. These are the molded headrests. They're not covered up and sewn seam right here. This is a molded headrest. Headliner tight as a drum, original style. Sun visors. This one, the stitching is starting to come loose just a little tiny bit. They deteriorate sometime with age, and we'll have to see if we can address that. It's only about an 8-10 inch section where it's starting to come loose. Again, the hat rack in the back is just as nice and fresh and clean as can be. Light up dome light is working as it should. Seat belts front and rear, and the front ones are in their pockets as they should be in the console. Everything in this car is as it was in 1969. New door sills that are just nice and bright and shiny. All the trim around your gas pedal, your disc brake designation and trim around that, clutch pedal and parking brake pedal. All the stainless is nice and clean and clear in it, and this is the key to the whole operation right here. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4. We got a 3-pedal car here, guys. This is a 4-speed in what I believe to be a lot more than a 350 small block Chevrolet. The car just absolutely cooks. It's a nice running car. Like I said, I gave it a little bit of a shot in first, second, and third gear. I didn't lay into it for a length of time, but you can see the car pulls like a freight train. It runs good. Aesthetically, this thing is as nice as anything we have in the building. It's a fantastic vehicle. It's definitely up for your consideration here at Hanksters, Daytona Beach, Florida. All right, we are in our 69 Camaro. Really nice car. Really, really nice car. It's got a really nice autometer telltale tack in it that functions as it should. Nice strong sounding car. Speedometer, of course, you'll see that working shortly here. Fuel gauge, it does function. Left turn signal functioning. Right turn signal, can't see it's in the sunlight, but functioning. We have an oil pressure gauge showing us about 55 pounds of oil pressure. We're about 13.8, which is correct on the voltmeter, and the temperature starting to come up. We're about 150 degrees right now, I think. It's got a Mickey Mouse radio in it. I don't know if it works or not. Let's see. Yep. Makes noise. Let's see if the wipers work. Wipers do function as they should. Horn works as it should also. Let's see what we got. Air conditioning blowing as it should, blowing nice and cold, cooling down for us already. So it's functional. So we got power steering, power brakes, workable air conditioning, and all of our gauges are functioning, and turn signals and wipers work. Everything works as it should. Let's see what this guy runs like. Go for a little ride. A nice smooth shifting car. Let's get up the road here a little bit. We'll let go of the steering wheel, see how it goes, how it tracks. There, no hands on the wheel. Still going straight as an arrow. Cannot run any straighter. Alright, let's see. Brakes, no hands. Straight as can be. Probably got to get in another gear and get more. Nice running car. Very nice, straight, true running. No vibrations, no noises or anything. Just a great running car. Nice tight suspension. Steering is very precise in it. Somebody must have put a high resolution box in this, because the car responds to every little tiny bit of steering input. This is a nice car. Okay, we'll give it a little bit of a shot here through the gears, just a little bit. Car pulls nice and strong. It's not even revving up through the gears. It just, you can see it pulls and it yanks your head off. It's a nice running car. Has a lot of juice to it. Goes straight as an arrow. No hands on the wheel. Brakes work as they should. Everything works great. We are underneath a 1969 SS style Camaro. Fantastic car. The car's really over the top nice. Aluminum 4-pass radiator in it, which you can't see from the video, but I'm pointing it out anyway. Heavy duty aftermarket sway bar in it. It appears to be about 3/4 of an inch in diameter, a little larger diameter bar than the standard bar that came with these cars. Disc brakes in the front, new shocks, new calipers, new rotors, new backing plates. Tie rod ends are not replaced, but they don't look like they're loose. They don't look like they have any wear whatsoever to them. The steering box, which is power steering, is nice and tight yet. The steering arm, Pitman arm, looks nice and snug yet. It has a grease fitting on both sides of it, as does the idler arm. That one I think's been replaced. The idler arm's been replaced, and it has a Zerk fitting on each side. Appear to be 1 5/8" ceramic coated long tube headers in this vehicle. It's a small block Chevy. I have a feeling it's a lot more than the 350, but the car actually really performs. Has a Millidan deep oil pan on it. It still retains the original cover over the bell housing area. It is a 4-speed car, by the way. M21 Muncie 4-speed. Gear reduction starter, a newer type starter on it. You can see the engine's been out, everything's been addressed on it, everything is completely refreshed in this vehicle. The subframes in the front don't appear to have a couple of very, very superficial jack marks, and that's it. No deterioration whatsoever on them. Nice solid looking subframes. Most of these cars through the years have been disrupted some way or another by jacks or jack stands, or in some cases, you know, some deterioration from rust or corrosion. This has absolutely zero. It's just as smooth as the day it was put on this car. The floor pans appear to be the original floor pans also, and they do not need replaced. It goes over to the original pinch welds on the rocker panels, which also appear to be all original. It does have, from what I can see, new brake lines on it. It does have a new set of fuel lines on it also. These are 3-inch collectors. I'm going to call them go into 2.5-inch, might be 2 1/4. Now I'm going to call them 2.5-inch primary tubes with an H pipe. It gives it a little bit more mid-range, lets this car breathe a little bit better than a conventional straight-through exhaust system. It actually cuts down on the sound a little bit too. Original parking brake assembly still hooked up and intact for your parking brake. Again, the floor pans are just as sweet and nice as can be in this car. We're about halfway through it now, and I can't imagine you could find a nicer, straighter vehicle anywhere. New U-joints on it, no leaks on the tail shaft of the transmission, no leaks on the transmission itself. You can see there's no leaks on the engine itself. Has a Hurst shifter in it. All the linkage appears to be nice and clean. Does have an actuated backup light assembly on the Hurst linkage also. Tell you what, there's nothing on this car that hasn't been addressed. It's as nice a vehicle as you could possibly find. You can see there's not even any real jack marks on the cradle for the engine, your substructure there. This is a nice car. This is a very, very nice car. Let's see what's on the second half of it for you. Okay, second half of our little 69 Camaro. Set of brand new Flowmaster mufflers on it. I'm going to say 2.5-inch going in. I'm going to say 2 1/8, maybe 2 1/4 going out. Hard to differentiate between the two just by looking at them. Multi-leaf rear suspension with a set of Lakewood style traction bars on it that this guy, I'm sure, absolutely needs. The subframes in the back are undisrupted, really nice as can possibly be. No jack marks on either side, left or right. Torque boxes in the front where the spring mounts are in the front of this vehicle are really, really nice and solid. And again, multi-leaf rear suspension in it. Nice curvature to the springs. 12-bolt Chevy rear. Everything on this car is indicative of a real SS car. We do not have documentation to show that, but again, you know, heavy sway bar, multi-leaf springs, staggered shock absorbers also in the back, and they're also brand new. Discs in the front, drums in the back. This car is as nice a Camaro as we've had for a long time. New U-joint in the rear. Electric fuel pump. Somebody put a rear pump in here to push this fuel forward, which is the correct way to do it. Electric pumps don't pull, they push. And this guy here is mounted correctly. It's as low as it can possibly be without dragging anywhere. Of course, the rear differential would prevent that from happening, but it's a little bit higher than the level of the fuel tank, the base level of the fuel tank, so you're good there. Tailpipes transition out between the springs and the rear quarter panels just as they should from the factory. Rear hangers are just as nice and sweet as could be. The drop downs in the quarters and the point where they transition onto the rear quarter panels, you're not going to find one any nicer than that. That has a lot of originality showing to it. The fender wells, everything. It's got a new round of rubber on it, which you can also see. No leaks in the rear differential, no leaks on the engine, no leaks on the bell housing, transmission, the tail shaft. This car is as solid a vehicle as you'll ever find. And again, Devin's going to give you some better pictures so that you can see the specific areas, the brake areas and the rear parts of the vehicle and floorboards a little bit better resolution than you do in just this video. But this car is as nice underneath as you could possibly find one. You know, it's not a total rotisserie restoration, but it didn't need to be either. It's a fresh paint job, fresh interior, and the car is just addressed underneath, cleaned up and painted with some flat black paint, and no undercoating or sound deadener or anything is added to this. I don't see anything at all on it. It's all the factory tin. Kind of repetitive what we do on these vehicles, you know, telling you how nice it looks and how great everything is, especially the undercarriages. But it doesn't happen that way by chance. We could go to a lot of lengths to make sure that the vehicles that we present to you are a little bit higher grade than most people would go to present a vehicle to a buyer. These cars are hand-picked. We try to make sure every one is as good a vehicle as you could possibly find for that year, make, and model. And this is no exception. This vehicle is as nice a one as you will ever find. You really need to take a look at this on your Hankster's website.